Welcome, beautiful souls. Thank you for being here. I am Tira Woods Wade, and I am your host. And today's episode is going to be about hypnotherapy, what it is, what it isn't, and the power of the conscious sphere. So, again, I thank you for being here. And in today's episode, we're going to dive right into the topic that's been way misunderstood, misrepresented, and quite honestly, underestimated. So, with hypnotherapy, we're going to explore what hypnotherapy actually is, what it is not, how the brainwaves work, how the subconscious mind operates, and a powerful model I like to call the conscious sphere, a way of understanding how the layers of the mind work and where transformation really happens. So, settle in, take a deep breath, and let's explore the truth about hypnosis, yeah? So, in the first segment here, we're going to say what hypnotherapy is not. So, before we talk about hypnotherapy and what hypnotherapy is and hypnosis, we need to clear away all of these myths because there's a lot of them. You see movies about people being hypnotized to be other people and have other memories and getting stuck in it. That's Hollywood, you guys. When people hear the word hypnosis, they often imagine something from a movie, a swinging pocket watch, someone barking like a dog, or even an evil hypnotist taking control of someone's mind, like mind power. Um, if I could do that, I don't think I would, but that would be kind of cool if somebody did have that superpower. But I do call hypnosis your superpower because we are all our own superheroes. So, just to clarify, hypnotherapy is not mind control. You can't be forced to do anything against your will. You're not able to be programmed. You cannot get stuck in hypnosis. You cannot reveal secrets unless you want to. That's a biggie. And you are not asleep. In fact, during hypnotherapy, you're aware, you have a hyper awareness. You're aware of everything. Your mind is active. It's a different dimension of the mind, and you stay in control the entire time. And I know I touch on this a lot and I make little videos and little blogs about it, but today's entire episode is about this because I feel like those who are interested in hypnosis need to really hear about what it is in depth rather than just read little snippets or little videos in Hollywood. Because another myth, this is the one that really irks me, is only weak minded people can be hypnotized. And that is not true at all. It's farthest from the truth. Hypnosis requires focus, imagination, the ability to relax into an internal experience. Some of the most difficult people to hypnotize are actually the ones who overthink everything, and not because they're too strong minded, but because they're too tense to let things go. And so, a big part of what I do is releasing that tension. A hypnotherapy session with me usually involves mostly relaxing until you're in the right brainwave, in the right state to really accept the suggestions. And I'll go into that a little bit later. Here's another misconception: hypnosis replaces medical care. That's preposterous. I have seen a lot of miracles happen with hypnosis, but the answer is a big, loud no. Hypnotherapy is not a replacement for medicine, therapy, or professional care. It is complementary. It is a complementary tool that helps your mind support the body. So now that we've cleared all of that up, blah, Let's talk about what hypnotherapy actually is. In hypnotherapy, it's simply a state of focused, relaxed awareness. It's the state that you enter when you're daydreaming, when you're drifting off to sleep, when you're absorbed in a movie, when you're meditating, or when you're driving and you suddenly realize you've arrived, but you don't remember the last few minutes. That's called highway hypnosis, by the way. Ever fallen asleep while you're watching TV, but you can still hear the TV and people walking around? It's natural. Hypnotherapy uses this natural state to connect consciously with the subconscious mind, the place where all your habits, beliefs, emotions, memories, and automatic reactions live. Learned behaviors. The subconscious mind is not logical, it's emotional, it's symbolic, it's associative. It learns from experiences that we take, things we've learned, imagery, repetition, not repetition, repetition. Um, there's over and over, and emotion, learned behaviors, right? Limiting beliefs, things that people have said to us, our experiences. So, what hypnosis does is it gives us a direct access to go into this deeper part of our mind and allowing us to change old habits, improve our sleep. That's a big one. Release stress, process emotions. And when I say process emotions, it's not the same as reliving them and really working through them. That's not what we do here at all. That's not what I do. When I say process emotions, it's just let's just get out the things that don't serve you anymore and just move on. Building confidence, healing internal conflicts. So, internal conflicts, like we are our worst critic, and not everybody is, but oftentimes we have conflicts internally, and sometimes we don't even realize we have them as deep as we do until we have a hypnosis or a hypnotherapy session. This really enhances well-being and supports your body's healing process because your body heals in its natural state. It's a gentle state, it's a cooperative state, and it's a rest and digest. We've been talking about the gut with EnerChi Hypnotherapy for the past few weeks here, and I was going to continue that trend on, but I really felt that today's episodes should really be more about this. So that's what we do. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to do what you want. It's okay to have your podcast on your staircase because you want to sit on the stairs. You can do whatever you want. But hypnotherapy is you, and it's you using your mind in a powerful and very intentional way. And earlier I had talked about the brain waves, and I want you in the correct state before we really go into suggestions. And so I'm going to go into that a little bit. To really understand hypnosis, you need to understand brain waves because hypnotherapy is essentially the art of shifting someone from a fast brainwave into a slower and more receptive one. So there's the beta wave. This is your waking, your problem-solving mind. This is your normal waking state, fast, busy thinking, analyzing, planning. In this beta mode, you're functioning and you're not necessarily relaxed. In fact, you're usually stressed. There's a lot of stress. This is where stress and overthinking and worry live. And there's your alpha. This is your relaxed state. So this is what I call the doorway to hypnosis. It's that peaceful, calm, creative mind state. You experience alpha when you're meditating, reading, walking in nature when you're comfortable and you're relaxed. And the alpha state, it makes the mind open to new ideas and imagery and learning, releasing, relearning. And this is my favorite. It's the theta brainwave, and this is the hypnotic state. This is really the sweet spot for hypnotherapy. Theta is like dreamlike. It's floating, it's drifting. I've had people tell me they feel like they're just elevated, like floating. Help people tell me that they went to sleep, but you're not asleep. It's a different kind of sleep. It's a hypnotic rest where you can really realize all your dreams. And if you were really sleeping, I wouldn't be able to just say, the session's over and open your eyes when you're ready, and then you just open them. Who takes a nap or falls asleep and wakes up that easy? You just don't. But that's what this theta brain state is in hypnosis. And you're deeply intuitive. In theta, the subconscious opens and memories surface. The imagination becomes vivid. Old emotional patterns can be released. The body begins repairing and regulating itself. I was just talking to a client yesterday who had came in less than 6 months ago, addicted to methamphetamines and wanted to change this person's life. And this person yesterday told me that while they were in hypnosis, and I was talking about the beach and the sand, and that's what worked with this person, the addiction was actually visualized as being buried in the sand. And so when you talk about the imagination becoming vivid, it's really cool. And it's deeply symbolic. And sometimes you remember after, and sometimes you don't remember at all, and sometimes you remember later. But this is where the state where real transformation happens. And if you're somebody that snores at night, breathes different snores when you're sleeping, you're really relaxed, your throat is relaxed, and you may even hear yourself snore a little bit or breathe a little heavy, and that's okay. It's okay. You're just really relaxed. You're in that theta state. And there's another one, these brainwaves, there's a delta, and this is the deep sleep. This is the slowest of the brainwave. The body's healing, the immune system strengthens, cells repair, the mind resets, and theta and delta both support healing. But hypnosis, even though people call it sleep, and in Greek, the word hypnosis actually means sleep, but it's not the kind of sleep we go into at night. But hypnosis primarily works in the theta. And every now and then I'll bring people a little bit lower down into that delta, and then I'll bring them right back up. Because what I see in most people is it's like a heartbeat up and down in life. You get a little more relaxed, then a little less, and then a little more. So I want them closer to the theta and the delta rather than the alpha and the theta. So if you're going like this, I don't want the theta to dive into the alpha. So I'd rather have it go a little bit down. So there's times where people really do feel like they're just fading into sleep and you're almost asleep. It's kind of like when, somebody has stopped breathing for a while and you give them CPR and they come back to life. And so it's kind of like that, but that was probably a really poor example, kind of morbid actually. But let's talk about that consciousness sphere. We've talked about the brain waves, and this is something deeper. The consciousness sphere, it's a model I use to explain just really how the mind is structured. And imagine your mind is a sphere of light and it has a lot of layers. And so our mind doesn't necessarily have layers that are in it like a dartboard, but I like to talk about it. Like if you think of a dartboard, like the outside, that's our outer layer, and that's that chaotic layer. That's that busy mind, like the alpha thing and the noise, the to-do list, the stress. The constant just chatter, 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 chatter. That's on the outside. Think of the circle with a dartboard with all of these circles in it, and then there's a little boy in the middle. Hypnosis takes you from all of that chatter, and we slowly start working in to the next level, leaving all that behind. We don't need that. Hypnosis moves you inside through this layer. This is the middle layer. This is your emotional mind. This is where your emotional memories, your patterns, your associations live. It's where your triggers come from, your fears, your learned behaviors, your learned responses, things that have been learned by you, sometimes have been learned, and maybe you want to unlearn them. This is a place to do that, and hypnotherapy helps recognize and really just heal this layer. There's the inner layer. Remember the circle outside the noise? Then there's the middle layer, the emotional state. And then there's the inner layer. It's your subconscious core. And this is the deepest part of the spirit. It's calm, it's quiet, still, timeless. Love timeless clothes, timeless furniture, timeless jewelry. But this is where you're in your timeless state, where time just doesn't even seem to exist. I've heard people say time is an illusion, but I mean, we all have clocks, so we know that there is time. But in hypnotherapy, I've had some clients that have been in hypnotherapy an hour, some, not very many, a couple hours. And when they're done, most of them think it's like 5 or 10 minutes, and they think it was really quick. And so that's what I mean by timeless. This is where your intuition lives, your inner guidance. You've heard of that inner voice, your healing beliefs, cellular memory responds, and the nervous system resets. Let's talk about that nervous system because that's going to pattern in, right? And we've been talking about the gut health and the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. So, the sympathetic nervous system, that's the fight or flight where you're running from the tiger. You're getting out of that jam where you almost got hit by a car and you avoided that accident. And it's meant to be for a very short amount of time. But so often, so many of us are getting stuck in that nervous system state of fight or flight. We need some help to just reset. And I teach you how to do that on your own as well. So I can get you back into that rest and digest. But transformation really begins. And when people say the body listens to the mind, they're talking about this inner sphere. So talk about like what your mind sees, your body has no choice but to react. And you might say, what is that? And what this is when you imagine something or you go back to a happy memory or a sad memory, you really go back right where you were and you have those same feelings come over you. You hear people talking about sad things that have happened in the past and they start crying all over again. Sometimes it's been years. Same thing with happy memories. But an exercise I like to do is called the lemon test. And I have people completely conscious and aware, have them close their eyes and just imagine some things, go to the fridge, cut a lemon, feel it on their hands and the little thing, and then take a bite. And you can see their mouth and everything just kind of like sour. And they're just completely conscious. There's no subconscious or any of that. They're still in that alpha brain state. So hypnotherapy guides you into this core where the mind and body commutes directly and what your goals are. I call them seeds. We plant those in, plant those little seeds in and tell your subconscious, this is okay. This is what we want. So, how hypnosis supports stress, sleep, healing. When we enter that subconscious core, several things happen. That nervous system shifts. Hypnosis activates that parasympathetic nervous system, and you'll hear me say this word so many times. But rest and repair, rest and digest. Your heart rate lowers, your muscles release, hormones balance, inflammation decreases. And this is probably why a lot of people, when they leave, they say they physically feel lighter after a session. And a lot of people come to see me when their goals, they're doing great, but they just really want to just reset, rest and repair. Take an hour out of the day and do you. But the emotional processing, that system opens up. And in hypnosis, old emotions that were stuck, and you may or may not even really consciously remember them, but they can finally move. The mind is able to reframe them, release them, reorganize them, whatever it is we need to do, and the body relaxes into healing. The body does not heal in stress mode. When you're stressed out, you're in that sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight, running from the tiger. You've got cortisol going crazy, your belly's getting bigger, you've got all of this going on. Your body eventually has to digest, and it eventually has to, think and do all of these things. But when you're in that sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight, everything shuts down, including your immune system. You're not able to relax in that state. So your body doesn't heal in stress mode. So our bodies are meant to heal. Homeostasis, if something is wrong with one thing, another thing's going to come and it's going to fix that so that it works. But hypnotherapy provides the condition for the body to repair itself, helps you to relax into healing. So I use the word healing a lot, and I don't want that to be misrepresented as some snake oil salesman or something. If you do this, you'll understand. It's supernatural. But your sleep will improve naturally. It's because the mind is quieted and the nervous system is rooted. Sleep deepens and becomes more restorative. You start remembering your dreams. New patterns are becoming easier because your subconscious learns through repetition and imagery. And what hypnosis does, it installs those new patterns at the deepest level because you want them there. So we're installing new imagery and patterns and repetition right in that little zone, right there. In hypnotherapy, I like to talk about what a session feels like. I remember when I got my first session, I thought it was going to be like really magical, almost like on an acid trip or something. I don't know. I just was like, couldn't wait to get in there. And it did work, but it wasn't sliding down rainbows with unicorns around. But it was deeply relaxing and peaceful. But most people describe it as even being floaty, warm, slow. I didn't flow or anything, but spacious, just emotionally soothing, mentally quiet, physically releasing. So all hypnosis is self-hypnosis, and I'll find myself on purpose doing self-hypnosis probably weekly, if not a few times a week, especially when I'm seeing a lot of people because I deal in energy work and I see a lot of people and I have my own things. And We're not talking about gut health this month because I just chose that. That's something that I am working on, and um, it feels great. But you might feel heavy sometimes, a little light or warm. You might see images drift off into nothingness. You may hear every word and go in and out, hear some of what I'm saying and some of not. All of it's normal. There's no rules. Can't do it wrong. Can't be bad at it, but you can do it unless you don't want to. And then we you wouldn't if you wouldn't be doing hypnotherapy with me because unless you really want something, then or you don't trust me, you have to have a trust between one another, and you have to have a want for it. And that's half of it. And the other half is me helping you. So hypnosis is simply a partnership. It's your mind and my guidance. So we talk about this over and over and over, how hypnotherapy can help with sleep, stress relief, anxiety reduction, pain management, and emotional healing, habit change, confidence, and self worth, trauma processing, just processing trauma in a gentle way. And I say this with caution because if you are experiencing something with deep trauma, I invite you to see other therapists, other medical professionals, and really do what it is that they say is recommended. But hypnotherapy is such a great complementary to any of that. I've seen I've seen wonderful things happen with that. I've seen mind and body healing. I've seen people with knee surgery that had one knee surgery done a couple years ago and had another one done with hypnotherapy before and after, and they were up and walking within the week and hardly any pain. So with that, there's preparation for surgery, recovery support, motivation and focus. Athletes. I see athletes sometimes they want better performance, and it actually works. It's not magic, but it feels magic. It feels magical because of just how deeply the mind responds. So, in closing, what is hypnotherapy? It's a natural state of an interconnection, a pathway to the subconscious mind, a gentle and method and a healing and a change, just a gentle method of healing and changing. It's a bridge between the mind and the body. It's a reset button for the nervous system and a way to return yourself to the way nature intended and what it's not control, it's not manipulation, it's not unconscious, it's not dangerous, it's not entertainment. When I say it's not entertainment, you see those stage hypnotists and they're like magicians or something. I think they're super cool. But that is entertainment, and I do not consider that hypnotherapy at all. Um, what you guys don't see is there's a lot of people that usually raise their hand, I want to do it, I want to do it. And then they get up and they don't do the suggestibility test. So, like, perhaps you would like to enjoy this from your seat or from over there. And they pick select people to do that. But it's more of a magician type of thing. And I love magicians. I think they're so cool. I am not a magician. But hypnotherapy, it's a collaboration. It's safe, grounded. It's an empowering tool for healing and clarity and transformation. I want to thank you for joining me this episode, and I hope it brought some clarity and some understanding and perhaps a little more curiosity about the power of your mind and exactly how powerful you are and what you can do. You can do anything. We are amazing. All right, until next time, um, this is T with EnerChi Hypnotherapy and Wellness. There's a lot more that goes on here than hypnotherapy. www.energy.me, or you can call 833 ENERGY. That's 833 363 7244. Okay, bye bye.